Hey everybody, and welcome back to another day on Hex Token channel, Superman Crypto and Pulsestone YouTube, streaming to 3 channels and over 10,000 subscribers. So big welcome to everybody. Hope you're doing well. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hit the bell. We have got an incredible live stream today and an interview with one of the very best developers and founders on Pulsestone, and it's called the Unleashing the Power of Pulsestone DeFi. We're going to be particularly looking at PUSD Algo stablecoin and a stability miner ecosystem, which is currently got a sacrifice open and is looking to be absolutely huge on Pulsestone. The fourth stablecoin, of course, will be PUSD. It's going to be an algorithmic stablecoin, and of course, it's going to have some enhancements in DeFi that we haven't seen before, and it's going to be fun to talk to Jacob about how it all works and why you should check it out. It's going to be really cool. Now, I do have a referral code in the chat there on Superman Crypto and, of course, a Hex Token channel and Pulsestone YouTube. So check that out at the top. That will give you a 19% bonus. That is a big bonus. So get that and use that to get the most out of it, right? You're going to get way more. So definitely check that out. We're going to bring up Jacob in a second. I'm just going to say hello to people in the chat quickly. So hold on to your hat. We've got a few more people jumping in as well, so we'll just get through to that. That is the link there to the referral code if you want to get 9% bonus. We've also got a poll up in the chat on, at least on Hex Token channel, so we're going to talk about that quickly as well. So definitely don't miss out that. We've got the question is, will you be participating in the PUSD Algo stablecoin and miner sacrifice? 15% already have so far, so get into that. Yes, maybe, and no. So if you're in the no camp, hopefully we can make you think about it. Obviously, nothing on this channel is investment advice, and you must always do your own due diligence. But we love to bring these super exciting opportunities on Pulsestone to you, and it's always good to be in early. So we're going to check that out. So get in that poll. We'll see what the results are towards the end. Looking very good. We got Sandy Beach in the house there. Hello, Hex Token, everybody. Good to see you, Sandy Beach. Welcome to the chat. We've got Archie as well. Super Archie is here. Hi, all. Good to see you, Archie. Absolutely amazing. Archie knows a lot about PUSD Algo and much of Jacob's ecosystem. He really is an expert in the space. We got Brian, our community leader. Good to see you, Brian. Welcome to the chat as well. Crypto Dan. Hi, all. Welcome, Crypto Dan. Great to see you as well. Definitely smash up the likes. We got Lies Beneath the Truth in the house. Hex Token for the win. Absolutely. Appreciate that. Who else is in here? Wallace is here. Sounds good. Good to see you, Wallace, by the way. My comment, good to see you as well. We've got a few new names in the chat there. We're going to have a lot more people join over the next wee while here on the show. So just get in there, say hello. We really want an active chat. So get in there, and we'll have a Q&A time, I guess, at the end. So get in your questions later on. Hold on to those. We got Pulsestone all the way. Absolutely. And here we are today with one of the biggest ecosystem devs out there. Going to give us some alpha drops. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A Tropa Dev in here. Good to see you, a Tropa Dev. Please just remember not to spam the chat with tokens. We are focused here on PUSD Algo. Moderators, if you could just keep the chat clean with that, that'd be great. Hexforce 1 has landed. Hey, Superman and Hexskins. Good to see Hexforce 1. And we've got a few others in the chat there as well. I think I may have missed my comment. Good to see my comment. And Joey Torres as well. Big shout out. All right, without further ado, let's bring up Jacob from one of the biggest ecosystems, and of course, leading DeFi on Pulsestone. Let's check it out. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, we've got Brian's giving out 5 Hex Token channel memberships. Brian dropping like a bomb. Wookie got one. Brandon got one. Charity got one. Tintot got one. And Anil Reynolds got one. Well done, and welcome to the Hex Token membership team. And of course, a big shout out to Brian for that. Big shout out for the support of the channel there. Wow. All right, let's bring in Jacob without further ado. Let's go here. Bam. All right, welcome, Jacob, to the Hex Token channel. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you very much, Superman. I'm doing very well, and I look forward to come on your channel.
It's really wonderful to have you here. As you know, I cover your stuff quite a lot, and you really are one of the most innovative devs, and I would argue one of the best devs by a country mile. It's really wonderful to have
the words. Thank you very much. That means a lot, honestly, that do.
Really is awesome. So you've done, I don't know how many projects. You've done a couple already in the past. You've got about 4 or so on the run at the moment. You've got a pretty incredible team behind you, as I understand it. Are you able to tell us a little bit about your team just before we kick into it?
Yeah, surely. So we are a six-person full-time team, and we are actively hiring. And this is not counting team moderators and auditors and third-party contractors, but just full-time developers. We are six people, actually from across the entire world. So we have a 24/7 around the clock activity almost. And we do have certain allocations for certain projects, but overall, I am, the manager between all of them at the same time, and we try to keep them as isolated as we can, so we continue progress on all fronts at all times. But it is true, managing multiple things at the same time can be challenging, but it's also one of the areas where I do excel. So, so far, so good.
That's awesome. Now, I understand you also have a mathematician on the team. Is that right?
That is absolutely true. It's a third-party contractor, though, but we have a mathematician from Canada who is going to run Monte Carlo simulations and generally do a lot of the math we are going to use for the stability miners, the purchase of the peg, and many other things in the contracts, actually.
That's fantastic. I'm excited about that. So, yeah, I knew that you had quite a high academic background in your team, so it's pretty awesome. And you bring that all that genius to bear on Pulse Chain, which is a lot of fun. I was going to ask you, how long have you been developing for Pulse Chain?
Well, counts if you if you can take in the preparation we did on other Ethereum change. So if that counts, we started roughly 2 years before the launch of Pulse Chain, so roughly
Wow.
around where Richard announced it, right? Because when you know what he's going to do, it's quite easy to prepare because he was forking a chain, right? So you could basically build out your entire project on the beforehand, right? So that's what we did, and we went in early, and I think that we benefited from that.
Now, so you've got a pretty big team, pretty high caliber team. You've been building on Pulse Chain for a long time, so you really are one of the senior, teams on Pulse Chain. What are some of the projects that you've been? Can you just give us a quick list of all the projects you've been bringing to Pulse Chain or are bringing to Pulse Chain in the future?
Sure, I can't speak to the future, but I will certainly address the past. So, one of the things we started out with was, addressing the need for a blockchain in gambling, and we built out Pulsepot. So that is one of the bigger projects we are running. And we also built the largest faucet to ever exist on Pulse Chain that actually sent out 2,500 PLS to over 45,000 unique wallets. I don't think any other faucet even comes close. And that was in a very rough period of Pulse Chain where a lot of people couldn't transact or swap or actually do anything, right? Because you were only, if you didn't sacrifice, you only got the amount 1-to-1 with ETH, right? And who has 500 ETH, right? So, everyone was kind of locked, but we saw an opportunity to do the good thing, and I think we executed quite well.
It was
And
incredible, yeah.
another project we did was the IOU service. So this was extremely controversial, first and foremost. What we did was we recognized that people were still sacrificing to Richard's wallet, even though the rate was absurdly bad, right? You were getting one PLS for $1, right?
Mm.
And it started out as 10,000 PLS for $1. So what we realized was that why not just create an IOU that would give you at least a significantly better rate than one PLS for $1. Actually, I think the rate was around 23x the initial SAC price.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think the entire community called it a scam, and it was just someone who's going to take all of your money. Luckily for them who decided to use that service, they got lucky because we are not a scamming team. So every single buyer on Ethereum got exactly what they were promised within 4 hours of launch, which
Yeah.
helped them.
Amazing.
Obviously it wasn't a good capital trade in a large amount, but
Mhm.
the option at least was given to users, and some did absolutely benefit from it because I have messages from people who were very happy about it. So that we did that both for PulseX and PLS, and we handled it quite well from a practical side.
Mhm.
And then we decided to bring a bit of adoption with the TYRH protocol that to my surprise got a lot of attention.
It was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot be denied. And I think the one thing that is kind of a red thread between all of the stuff that me and my team, the things we do, is that it's always new. We only build new things. We
Yeah.
start with a notepad that is white, nothing else, and that's when I feel like I get rewarded as a developer. And that's exactly what's happened in every single project that I will ever be involved in, most likely. We build, and we come up with new stuff, because that's when you provide real value to Postchain, right? Because everyone have seen an AV fork or liquidity fork or
Mhm.
whatever kind of fork. They're already used to that. But what if you actually build new innovative DeFi? That's when you actually turn eyes, instead of just being fork number 212, right? So my focus is more on actual innovation. And yeah, so here we are with a project where, if succeeds, it will be the by far largest,
Yeah.
without any doubt. So the upside is obviously incredible, but with that said, the risk is also incredibly high. So the only thing that I can say is that you have a honest developer who will do everything in his power to make this work. And
Yeah.
I really cannot promise any more than that, because
That's
that
true.
would be wrong of me. So that's where we are today, and we
Yeah.
present this innovation to Postchain. And if the community thinks it's something that's worth investing not only their time but their capital in and their interest, I would be pleased to provide this product.
Yeah. So you've got a number of products coming up in the future. TRH V4, you've got TYZZ DeFi Binance, and obviously you got what we're going to be talking about today, which is PUSD Algo stablecoin and Stability Miner. Those are all coming up, so your teams must be pretty big, pretty busy working on all those.
Well, we do work full time, so yes, we do take our work seriously. Sometimes I do wonder what other people are doing, to be honest, but I don't want to compare. But we certainly do think that we spend our time pretty effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think without further ado, I think it'd be great to get into the project. I've got a couple of questions to ask you on the way for PUSD Stability Coin. It's going to be the fourth stable coin on the market. So my first question, before we look at the I guess the protocol front end, at least the test UI at the moment, is why a fourth stable coin?
Well, not all are the same, right? First of all, Power City and Liquidity is the exact same fork. It's just using a different collateral token. So I would
Yeah,
almost call that the same. Then we have Coast, which is a direct on-ramp, which is very important. So that is very nice. And you could say on Ethereum, well, I think we have 50 stablecoins, but
yeah,
but not all are the same, which is important, because you don't have many Lunas, you don't have many Fraxes, the very successful ones, and you have to try and you have to fail many times before you reach a level where true innovation happens. Because truth is that first time we had to fly, it just didn't work the first time we tried to fly, right? We had to fail an incredible amount of times
mhm,
before humans were flying, right? So I see it as a completely natural process that you need more attempts and you need more approaches and you need different vision. And that's good for the end user, as competition and more brain power into a subject is always best for the end users, right?
yeah. So we're going to have another stable coin with a different mechanism for substantiating its dollar value. It's going to be an algorithmic coin compared to the three other coins that we know were coming. We've got Post CST stablecoin, which is a fiat back one. And we've also got two coming with the liquidity forks for liquid loans and Power City, USDL, and PXDC. So we've got those three. We're now going to have this fourth one, PUSD, which is going to be algorithmic. Now, we know of the famous algorithmic one, Terra Luna, which fell down because of potentially market manipulation and a falling market. How is yours going to differ? Should we get into the protocol and have a look and see how it's going to work?
Well, that's an important question, and I think that obviously any algorithmic stablecoin that is one of the first real serious attempts to build that kind of technology did suffer a massive loss under not only the bear market, but as you say, manipulation. But not only that, we also saw a mechanism that didn't work as they had hoped. I would say
Yeah.
we had big whales who were dependent on deploying capital or arbitraging the peg, and they were not able to do that in a timely manner. And
Mm-hmm.
I think when the retailers start to seeing a dollar value that is decreasing rapidly, the trust goes from 100 to 0 extremely quickly. So this, having few centralized humans who are kind of have to be at your service when it's needed is a definitely a bottleneck and a failure point. So
Yeah.
what we want to do there is kind of trying to make that much more transparent and actually move all of that into decentralized limit orders so that you don't need someone to deploy capital because that's already deployed and you can verify the code that this will get spent if the peg deviates down, right? So that in itself is kind of a nice automated system that implies trust into the user of the stablecoin.
Okay. So have you gone through any edge cases? I'm just going to pick up some random things with whether or not they're related, like flash loans, people running scripts on multiple accounts to try to do anything like what happened to Terra Luna. Have you got things like that you guys considered?
Yes, obviously we have to be very careful about the main pool of the two tokens, which is ALGO and PUSD.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't manage that correctly, you will see flash loan exploits, which is a significant threat actually, and we will also see different manipulation from arbitrages and contracts and all sorts of things. But I think we have a good at this point in time we have a good understanding of how different attacks and the different attack vectors work, and that is also due to our experience from other protocols, because truth is that we have a lot of money going through the Pulse pod and the BNB pod, and so far we haven't lost any of them, right?
Yeah.
They're sitting there in NFT casinos and other stuff, so they're definitely a target. So
Yeah.
we are learning, and we will also have this audited, right, by multiple entities and a white hacker program. So if it comes out on the other side, um, safe, because we will run this in a vacuum, a protected vacuum, basically on mainnet most likely, and then the white hat hackers will basically be let loose and they will be handed over PUSD in the vacuum and all of that, and they would actually have a shot at manipulating the system. So that's normally how that works. But definitely we do take all of these things extremely seriously, because a protocol like this either works or it fails.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's how it is,
So yeah, that's true. So how would you describe the risk return in this then, in terms of people looking at it if they're looking to participate in the PUSD sacrifice, for example?
I would definitely call it a risky one, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But what isn't a risky one on Pulse Chain? Let's be honest, right?
That's true.
It's like we have majority is almost meme coins or forks or duplicates or whatever at this point, right? So I think what's more interesting here is to identify the upper level of what someone is trying to make. And if you have concluded that you have a team here who's probably going to actually deliver on what they're saying, then
Mm-hmm.
I think this becomes an interesting project to take a closer look at, because promises, there are a lot of those in the market, but we have delivered every single promise we have done the last 2 years. So I think we're in a good position to present to the user what we're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they can trust that.
Yeah.
So it is risky, obviously, but
So,
if we look back on the progress of Luna, we also saw that some people were definitely able to turn a profit on investing in Luna, or in this case Algo, during
mm,
those 2 years where it actually worked fine, right? It went up 1.6 million%. So there's obviously big winners,
Yeah,
even though everybody loses
I
out
think
there.
Luna was $18 billion before it crashed or something like that. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely insane, right? So.
Yeah. So you're going to have okay. So you're going to have on the risk side, you're going to have audits. You're going to have hacker tests. Is that right? Recall that right?
Yes, correct.
You're going to have your mathematician do Monte Carlo scenarios as well.
Correct.
Yep. So you're going to cover all those bases. So that's pretty exciting moving forward. So there's a real quality control over the risk side.
The truth is, you are working with humans and what humans think in their head. When you have market psychology that is purely based on a human's impression of, do I trust that this price will be held, then you can do as many Monte Carlo simulation as you want, but you will never really know. You will never really know.
Yeah. Now, before, I want to get deep dive into the protocol itself, so people know what they're getting into, and how some of the mechanics, especially with the stability miner.
Yep.
What's the sort of time frame for delivery? We must have hit that up the front here.
Well, we right now run a prototype of the stability miner on the mainnet pulse chain, so anyone can go and take a look at that chart if they would like to, and I guess that's the status of that. Behind this, we are progressing on all of the tech, but right now we are mainly focused on developing the customized V3 and V2 pools that are going to work in synergy to actually create the earn program in a fluid manner, but at the same time also have complete control over the integrated protocol liquidity.
Yeah, there's so many aspects to this protocol, so it's going to be pretty incredible. You're talking about this going to have a V2 and a V3 DEX inside of it. That opens up a whole range of possibilities for capital to flow and for DEX aggregators to get involved as well, which would actually be self-fulfilling and helping liquidity flow through the platform. So you got any comments about that?
Yeah, well, we hope that we will have the most liquidity because that's when the protocol earns its most fees, right? So all of the aggregators like PDS or Go pools or whatever they're called, they will draw from our pool simply because your slippage would be lower if it drawed from our pool than if it used the user pool created on the PulseX, because I would be quite surprised if that one had more liquidity than the protocol owned one.
I think TVL for PulseX is give or take 160 billion, give or take 160 million, give or take 10 million, and PHUX, the Forker balancer, is running at typically around 35 to 45 million, and then I think we've got 9inch is sitting around maybe 12 million plus or minus a couple million. So that's kind of the top three. And so, what's your expectations for this? Because this really does look like it could scale very, very well.
Well, obviously, I have high expectations, but if we have a working algo stable, it will drive a lot of volume, and hopefully, it will be one of the highest TVL volumes on Pulse Chain as a separate DEX outside of the main Pulse X1.
Yeah,
because that
I'm just not sure. A lot of people were realizing that the PUSD algo stablecoin and miner had a V2 DEX and a V3 DEX and all that liquidity aspect to it. So that's why I really want to draw that out.
It's actually more of just a technical functionality, how we have to build it to make all of these things work. It's not so much that we are trying to build a fancy marketed DEX where people can come and trade our tokens. It is more because it's needed from a technical perspective.
Understand.
Yeah, and we would prefer that people traded our tokens at an aggregator like Pitias, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Because they are the best at providing.
That's going to be a wonderful thing, right? Getting DEX aggregators like Pitias, maybe PortalX, maybe Omnis there to route through your pool if it's the most efficient. Then that's going to be help the success big time. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Any comments on that?
Yeah, well, the stability miners in itself is kind of a very large part of the innovation behind this. Simply because in a classic liquidity scenario, you as a user, you pay a 10% overpay to mint a stablecoin. You put in $110 of PLS and you get $100 of stablecoin, right? not only do you have to give up 10% liquid capital to get less liquid capital, but you also have to manage the risk by PLS either increasing or decreasing in price. So if it decreases too much without you adding more collateral, you will end up in a position where your stable coins are worth more than your collateral, and because of that you lose all of it, right? And you have effectively lost 10%. We kind of think that it would probably be smarter to put all of that responsibility over to stability miners, so the users, they have a completely frictionless and liquid experience with the stablecoin. They don't need to worry about a underlying asset moving in price, and they definitely don't need to pay 10% more to get it, you know. So it's just less barrier to entry, and then you move all of that responsibility over to the transparent on-chain miners. But they are also, those miners are posting the collateral for the users, because it's their job to attract as many users as possible to the ecosystem, because they are indirectly generating all those fees that will be paid back to the stability miners, right? So it's an ecosystem where each party helps the other party. And that is what I think is one of the more interesting aspects of building it this way.
Yeah. So just to wrap up we're going to explore that aspect, because I think it's really, really cool. Part of it with how it's going to support the stability of the PUSD. But I don't know what the timeline. Do we quite get there? Is it like 2 months away, do you think, approximately? So this is a guide, plus or minus a little bit.
Honestly, at this point, I don't think it makes much sense to put any timeline into people's expectations. Cool. But I can just say that we are working very hard on it, and that's all. Yeah.
All right, cool. Now the sacrifice itself is actually 42 days long. Is that right altogether?
45. I think.
45 is it? So yeah, and we're in day 4 now. Okay, cool. Well, let's get straight into the protocol and have a deep dive into this. We'll just go through and I'll ask you questions on the way, I think, on this one. So let's bring that up. So here is the current protocol testing away there. We've got the first page here. We've got the dashboard, and we've got stability miners there. So this is an overall. Do you want to just work through that?
Yeah, okay. So this is obviously just a dashboard where you have kind of a shortcut entry or some statistics. And this will lead you to either creating a stability miner or entering the earn program. And you can see stats on how the TVL is moving and how the ratio between capital at the miners and the liquid stablecoin market available capital. Yeah. And then we have the live chart of the current stable protocol.
It's fantastic. And is this currently linked into the live one that's on Pulse Chain that you're testing?
Yes, that is the real data.
Yeah. Now, if you buy this on Pulse Chain at the moment, it will be swappable for when the protocol actually goes live. Is that correct?
Yes, we will deploy a separate launch contract where you can just swap 1-to-1. So if you ever bought this, you will just get 1-for-1 of the real.
Now, just in this chart here for the stablecoin PUSD, which is currently live on Pulse Chain, but is the test version. You had quite a bit of volatility at the beginning here, I noticed, and then it stabilizes very well. In fact, it actually looks like it's stabilized more than the CSD, which is backed by fiat currency.
Good point. Well, yes, this was the point where we deployed the stability miner. So before that, it was just random market buy orders. And you can see that the volatility completely got suppressed closer and closer to the $1 mark. So the stability miner is doing its job. It's generating a profit.
I've been pretty impressed with it.
Yeah.
So
So we feel good about that prototype. Obviously, we are running around 45 automated market maker arbitrage bots on it. We are running, I think, around 140K 24-hourly volume and 25K transactions.
Wow.
It's and we are running both one centralized stability miner script, and we are running a decentralized contract stability miner as well. So right now, this entire setup to run this prototype is actually quite significant, and but it really goes to show that there is a way for this, and this is how we are going to do it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the one thing that impressed me straight away when I was looking at on Pulse Chain, because we've covered this a couple of times on our live shows, is how stable this was. And then I looked at the CST stablecoin, which has got about 70K liquidity on the PulseX. Obviously, most of its liquidity is on PX, but the price actually itself on PulseX was had a wider range generally. So yeah, I thought that was pretty impressive to start off. So it looks like you've onto something here.
Let's hope so.
Let's get into the mint page, which is the second page here. So this is where you basically mint the stablecoin PUSD, which would technically be the fourth stablecoin if you're not aware of that on Pulse Chain. But you've got this token here called ALGO. So what is that?
Yeah, so ALGO is the dual token part of this ecosystem, just the same way as Luna had UST. Here, ALGO has PUSD. ALGO is used to mint the stablecoin, simply because if you are minting a larger position, you would eat way too much slippage of buying that position through the market. It would be much smarter of you to buy ALGO from the market because it has a deeper liquidity, and then you mint the PUSD into existence. That's also how we increase the TVL and how we increase the entire ecosystem's value. So it's very important that we motivate users to mint the stablecoin rather than buying it. Simply because just buying and selling it is just sending it around in a circle that doesn't change anything in the ecosystem. So this is where you can basically create currency. There is a 1% tax associated with it, which is extremely important because we don't want to create a negative feedback loop where people can basically push down the price of PUSD by just minting it and selling it immediately and then getting algo and then doing that loop. That's important. You have to put in a stoppage to that kind of loop.
Yeah, great. That's great. And that 1% goes to somewhere else in the ecosystem, does it, as rewards, or does it go to straw up the stablecoin with the miners?
Well, there's two profit scenarios here because not only do you get all of the algo, right? If someone mints $1,000 of PUSD, then they have to spend X amount of algo depending on its price. So not only do the protocol get all of that algo, but it also gets the 1% fee, right? So there's kind of profit all along. So in Luna, what they did was that they took that as a protocol treasury, and that was actually what they ended up buying all of the BTC from. So they were selling down the price of Luna through the treasury that when people minted it, basically. We will not do that because that would be counterproductive to the protocol's health. So we will either burn it or spend it as a rewards in the program. I think we will burn it because we have basically infinite mint capabilities on the algo token, so there's really no reason to redistribute it when we can just burn it and mint it.
100%, I agree with that. The other thing is that when Terra Luna was doing their shoring up, they bought a lot of Bitcoin. Remember, they thought that was going to short it up big time, and then of course that was part of the problem. Was Bitcoin got shorted? Remember, that was kind of the initial trigger of the Terra Luna death spiral that came. So I think that's a good approach that you're taking on that one. Now, I also remember from Terra Luna Anchor, I think it was, there was a redemption bottleneck. Either it was time or the amount that could go through to be redeemed or swapped at any time.
Absolutely correct.
This doesn't have any of that. This is just instant. Is that how it works?
Yes, and the reason why they had a bottleneck was because the way the algorithm worked, where it was minting Luna out of thin air to basically move value from one LP to another LP. So it was just minting Luna, selling it, and then to buy up UST in an attempt to the protocol to save itself, right? So basically, what the protocol wants to do is completely kill the price of Luna in an attempt to save the price of UST. So it was just moving funds. But the problem is that the way they made it was that they had a negative feedback loop. So, it just it actually couldn't ever work because when that effect went into activity, it actually ended up killing the system, kind of ironically, because it meant that the price of Luna went to absolutely nothing, right? So we have obviously learned from that, and I do think that this approach does not have that kind of bottleneck, simply because it's not the minting that is managing the supply. It's very important to understand that in Terra Luna, the way they kept the peg was by just changing the supply. That is a very very hard way for a retail user to understand that the peg is held. The
Mm.
same way as I've used the reference that if Richard Hart burns all of his PLS, that means that we have 95% burn supply. Would the price of PLS go up 10x tomorrow because of that?
Mhm.
Probably not, but
Mm.
it probably will go up, but it wouldn't go up 10x, right?
Yeah.
So in theory, yes, you can remove supply and the price should change, but that's just theory. We believe that if we manage the peg directly on the DEX where all of the APIs are pulling and where
Mhm.
all of the eyes are actually looking, then we manage that psychology inside of the head of those who are participating in the ecosystem in a much more fluent and effective way.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a very good point. So, all right, I think that's all the questions I had on that one. And the stability miner is the really the heart of it.
You could say that, yes, because
Yep.
that's the supporting of the peg.
So you got a couple of things here with the stability miner. You've got a RNG that is a random number generator multiplier. It says between 0 and 2x.
Yes,
You've
correct.
also got the stability duration here, which has got 120 hours, 240 hours, and 260 hours.
Yeah,
Sorry,
this page
360
will
hours.
get updated very
Yeah.
soon. We have a completely new layout of it.
Okay, cool. So you got
Um,
this. You got this. You've also is this where the miner process to support the stablecoin and the what you call the integrated liquidity pool or the IPOL is here is works here.
well, this is where you deploy capital into a contract that acts towards that pool, yes.
Okay.
The integrated protocol pool will be the pool that contains PUSD and whatever token we choose to pair it with.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think it will be DAI, but we are actually considering switching that up because when you really think deep about it, having DAI, which is a bridged in on a Richard's
Yes.
centralized key, is
Yeah.
probably not the perfect scenario.
I was going to
But
ask you that. I was going to ask you that. So it's good that you're
yeah,
addressing it. Yeah.
but I think if the keys to the bridge gets compromised, I think we have a lot of big problems.
We
So
do. We have
yeah, so
systemic
yeah,
spiral.
I'm
Problem,
not entirely sure if anything on Pulse Chain would keep its value if that happened.
yeah.
Even so
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It would be a
yeah.
death blow. Yeah, death blow. Yeah, yeah.
But I do have some. We are considering some alternative options where we are pegging it to something else. And one of the very interesting ideas I think is that we can actually pool it to USDL, which will be the liquid loans, right?
I
So
think that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
the funny thing about that is that
Yeah.
have you ever heard Richard say how Hex is piggybacking on Ethereum's consensus?
Yes.
Yes, this would be the same thing. We
And
could
because you got PLS as a collateral of USDL, and then you are pigging back on USDL, so back to Pulse, which is the main coin. It makes a lot of sense.
basically what we are going to do is that we will have liquidations on liquid loan users to stabilize a peg that we are just simply manipulating and using to our advantage. So
Right.
instead of having the bridge keys as the fallback point, we just have the liquidity product as the fallback point. But in the meanwhile, we can actually scale the TVL to significantly larger heights simply because of how this protocol is built.
Yeah. Oh man, you're getting me excited here, Jacob, about that.
And it is a pretty funny perspective, actually.
Yeah. So have we with the stability miner, we've got different tokens. So we've got this RNG, we've got these time locks, we've got this liquidity provision,
Yeah.
and you say you may add USDL into here. Is that
This is a very early prototype, so
very early
yeah,
protocol?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, yeah,
But I
protocol.
can explain it just in brief detail. So basically, the idea is that you deploy capital of any choice. It can
Mm-hmm.
be anything as long as it has a LP where we can pull dollars from, right?
Okay, cool.
So you select what capital you want to deploy, and then you select the duration. For how long would you essentially like to lend us your capital? Because
Mm-hmm.
the protocol needs capital to defend the peg, right?
Yes.
And the way it works is that the longer you want to lend us capital to defend the peg, and
Mm-hmm.
the more you want to lend us, just like Hex, the bigger pays better, longer pays better. It's the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you will get a rewards paid out in inflationary algo, some wrapped stable
Yeah.
coins, and some flex for starting a stability miner. And it's basically an attempt to help Pulsechain in some ways. If you are if you are a community member that really wants to help Pulsechain, then but how could you spend your capital better than supporting a algorithmic stablecoin? Like, I'm just asking, right? Because that would be an amazing adoption tool.
Okay.
And if the peg doesn't deviate significantly under 1, when this stability miner ends, not only will you still have all of your capital, but you have reaped the inflationary rewards, right? Because you didn't have to use your capital to defend the peg, because the third-party contract miners, arbitrage miners, they did it themselves, right? The market has so much trust in this protocol that we don't even need to spend the stability miners capital to actually make it successful, right? It more becomes this fallback mechanism, actually. So it's kind of interesting that a stability miner can not only get their capital back, but they also get the rewards. But sometimes, let's say there's pressure, there's sell pressure on the stablecoin, and now the peg is under pressure, right? What will happen is that these stability miners will slowly spend the capital to buy it up. And what we will do is that we will exchange your capital for the discounted stablecoin that it bought up during that defending process, right? So actually, the interesting part is that when you lose capital in the miner, you are guaranteed that you are getting a discounted stablecoin out of it, like a good deal almost, right? And that is also, there's some interesting aspects of that.
That's pretty awesome. So with those, if you have to defend the peg, some of these returns, these algo, these wrapped PUSD stablecoin and the earn flex, they are coming from different sources. So the algo potentially and the P is coming from the miner defending the peg. Is that the right understanding?
The algo is simply a inflationary reward for doing an action in the protocol. Just like when you stake hex, you get a hex inflation, right?
Is that true of all of these? You got the flex as the incentive token there. You're getting that too?
The flex one you get immediately. The other two you get when you exit the miner. Basically, when you have proven that you have done what you said you want to do, you wanted to lend the protocol this amount of time. When you have served that amount of time, you can exit the miner and you will get the inflationary rewards plus whatever capital or discounted stablecoin back. Yeah.
Okay. So these rewards are largely from inflation. Yeah.
Yes, and it really, these rewards could easily have been from overpeg scenarios or from trading fee scenarios or for minting scenarios, but it doesn't really matter, because when we have complete control over the mint and burn, I think that what's more important is that we direct those profit scenarios into the earn program, because the earn program is what's driving the activity inside of the ecosystem.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the end protocol. So that's kind of the main engine there, is to provide liquidity and support the miners to do their work if they need to support the price of PUSD. So, but you've got an earn page here as well, where you can earn more. So there's so many different aspects of this, really amazing. So what do you do here?
So the earn program will basically get all of the trading fees on both pairs, so PUSD and DAI, and Algo and DAI, if that's how we set it up, right?
Right.
So on a stable coin, you actually have quite high volume, which equates to high trading fees, profits. That's why there's so much, because liquidity providers love providing liquidity on two stable values, right? They have no chance of impermanent loss. So the thing is that normally, if you have a successful stablecoin, you have high fees. In this case, we earn all of the fees, because that's how we're going to make the protocol. So all of those fees will trickle down into the earn program. And in the earn program, the only way that you can get a portion of the protocol's, basically its profits, is by deploying the flex token. The flex token is a token you can earn by doing things in the protocol, such as creating a stake, such as minting the coin, such as doing a swap, redeeming, whatever you do, especially creating stability miners. That gives the highest amount of flex. But every time you do something, you get an immediate airdrop into your wallet of the flex. Now, you as an ecosystem user, you have multiple choices. Do I want to just sell that immediately? Or do I want to deploy it into the earn program where
Cycle
I
back.
will now start earning, a portion? So the simple way to understand it is that if there is 1 million flex in the earn program and you deposited 100,000 of them, well, now you earn 10% of all of the protocol's fees, right?
Yeah.
And you can claim them at any time you want, and it will
So,
just go to 0 and count up again.
I guess unlike some platforms where people might just sell their tokens, this here has actually got a lot of reasons to recycle your capital, compound it, and just get a better result. Yeah, I like that. I think that's really attractive. Now with this is where the V3 DEX comes in. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So this is running V3, and V3 has the 1% pool, so you get earning a bit extra.
Well, the reason why we need the V3 is basically because we want to control the earnings of each deposit of flex, but also have a liquid dynamic option to withdraw the current earnings as a fee while still maintaining your position inside of the pool. That tech in itself is extremely complicated, and if we couldn't fork it, that we could put a year on this project, right? So
yeah, right. That's a fantastic explanation you just gave of that. So if anyone wants to rewind that later on, do that. All right. So I think that's, and then obviously you can claim the rewards that you get here.
Or you can exit your position entirely. If
Yeah.
you don't want to earn anymore and you just want to offload the flex, you can do that. And then there's someone who is maybe more patient or more bullish on the ecosystem. They can pick it up at a discount and then they can start earning.
So question is, where do you get the flex? I guess you can go to stake.
Well, I think the reason the way you get the flex was, as I just explained, that every action in the ecosystem airdrops you flex tokens. So the more active you are, the more flex tokens you get, and you can just constantly deploy them. You could actually set up a Tetra. I hope so, Stu. I think you could set up a Tetra contract or whatever they do, where it would automatically deploy your flex tokens into the earn program if every time you receive them, because otherwise you have to maybe do that once in a while and then see how much you have accumulated during your activity, right? But there are so many there's so many great I think collaboration options with this protocol and something like Tetra potentially.
But this is the next page that you've got, which is staking as well. So it just keeps getting better, folks. So you can actually put your algo and your PUSD stable in here, and you're going to earn flex. Is that right?
No, you're not going to earn flex. You are going to earn the token that you're staking. So this is the same as Hex. This is basically Hex. So what you're going to do is that you get a percentage you get a portion of the inflation, and you do that by locking up the capital, locking up the token supply, the same way as Hex does it. But the option here that's interesting is that you can kind of define your risk profile, because do you want to stake something over a longer period of time that you can expect to have a stable value, right? That way you can at least have a better chance of knowing what your expected return will be. But if you are staking the algo, the underlying asset will move significantly more in price, and that can obviously both work to your benefit, but certainly also to your
So this is a more conservative with the stable coin. This is a bit more aggressive with the price movement of algo.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously
we respectively different.
All inflation on the stable coin itself is something we have to be very careful with, because that is something that will turn into sell pressure to the miners, and we want to protect the capital of the miners at all times, because we need that when the sentiment is at its worst. That's when you need all of the capital, right? Sorry, go ahead.
So this is like Hex. That means you got like a longer pays better, a bigger pays better in the yield. Is that
yes,
right?
Correct. Yes.
But there's no share rates, no earlier pays better type of thing.
No.
Okay. The other thing is that I forgot the question I was going to ask you. It'll come back to me. The early in-stake. You got early in-stake button. Is that going to have a warning about what the implications are of hitting that?
Yes, it will probably be somewhat like Hex, where if you immediately end stake it right after you started it, it will have a higher penalty than if you ended it 5 days before, right? So there will be some sort of gliding penalty rate embedded into that. Yeah.
Okay, it'd be good if it was explicit so people actually understand, because on Hex you don't know, right? It's like, yeah.
But here, this page is actually the equivalent to Anchor protocol on the Luna, Terra Luna.
Okay, cool.
Where an Anchor protocol was definitely also one of the drivers, not only for the success, but probably also for the downfall. Simply
Well, that's the
because,
question.
they had a 20% APY, right, on a stable coin. I think that is, it's almost, I would say, at the level of it smells like a scam to me. It's almost as if they knew what that would do and what effect it would have over time, right? And I have some suspicions about why they would push it that much. They were certainly looking for short-term adoption more than long-term health, is what I'm seeing. So that's also why we are putting up here as just as a demo number, like 3.7. Which is significantly different than a 20% sell pressure from basically inflationary yield, right?
So I guess on one hand, you're going to address the inflation side of it and the return, like compared to Anchor with the 20%. On the other side, are you going to have, you talked a bit earlier about potentially having burn mechanisms and maybe even buy and burn mechanisms? Is there anything like that in the protocol?
Yes, the protocol does have a native built-in buy and burn mechanism of algo, actually. So when the price of one PUSD is above 1, so let's say it's 1.05, the integrated protocol will actually sell all of that liquidity down so the ratio matches to whatever the PEG and the LP must be. So in that scenario, we have a excess amount of value that we can take out. And in some cases, based on governance and based on what the protocol needs, it will burn buy and burn algo, basically pushing up the price.
Fantastic! That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Now, is you're talking about? Is there going to be any DAO on this? Because there's no DAO at the moment, but is there anything like that coming on this platform?
Yes, we believe that Algo will be the DAO token as well, just the same way as it was in Terra Luna, where it was not only the speculative part, it was the minting part of the TVL, but Luna was actually also the governance part. And there are definitely some adjustable numbers and function in this protocol that actually could have a governance token behind it, such as, when should stability miners trigger? Should we even allow a third-party arbitrage opportunity, or should stability miners wait until a 5% deviation, a 10%? How should we spend the protocol fees? Should it go to, full buy and burn algo, or what kind of ratio should go towards the earn program? And all of these important questions to make it work could easily be put towards a governance vote where, everyone can chip in what they think is the best instead of just having 6 people defining what they think is the best, right?
Yeah, that'd be quite handy. All right, I think we'll move on to the redeem page. So this looks pretty similar to the mint page. So
it's just reverse, except the 1% tax. There's no tax, obviously, in redeeming, simply because we want, again, to motivate users to, instead of selling PUSD on the market so that you check into stability miner capital, we would rather have you simply burning the PUSD and then minting the algo at current rate and then sell the algo, because there's more speculation on the algo pair. The algo pair has deeper liquidity, and what that actually means is that you put the peg, now it is on the speculators. Every time someone redeems out of a stablecoin, they put basically the capital requirement of all the speculators, and that is also a very interesting part of how this could actually work in the long run.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so we talked about, you've got V3, which I think was on the stability miner. On the earn here. Yeah. So this mint and this redeem pages, that's V2.
No, this is just a contract that mints and burns. You're just swapping one-to-one. Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got the swap, and the swap is V2.
Most likely not. No.
Okay. Where's the V2 come into this protocol?
Yeah. this might be the V2 part, but we are not entirely sure if we even need it. Using V2 is just to simplify some things, but we could easily use V3 for that also. But
Okay, cool.
that is some technicalities where during the testing we are doing, and we will run multiple systems, we can kind of figure out the pros and the cons of doing each of things in their way, right? And right now it seems like V3 would be the correct way to go.
Yes, that sounds like it to me too. All right, cool. I was just trying to clarify some of those things. The unwrapping, you can unwrap your
This is an interesting one.
WPUSD with the
Yeah.
W, the wrap part. Yeah.
The wrapped stablecoin. So we have this simply because we want the protocol to be able to pay out a reward in a stablecoin, a stable reward, I would like to
Mm-hmm.
call it. And the way to do that, the best way, so we don't just turn it into instant sell pressure, is that we make a time delay on that reward. So now you have to basically unwrap it, which is a process of 80 to 120 days,
Mm-hmm.
which will have a random element. You can get lucky and just always get the 85 days or the low 80s, but vice versa, you can get unlucky and you have to wait 120. You won't know until you start the unwrapping process. So the interesting thing is, what would the market participants think a wrapped stablecoin should be worth when it does have a minimum of 80 days you have to wait for its liquidity, right?
Yeah.
Would you buy this coin for 80 cents? 90 cents? Like, what's the price, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the interesting part is that you are moving value from the impatient to the patient. Because I believe so much in this protocol. If someone wants to sell me their wrap PUSD for a 20% discount, well, please, contact me on Telegram, right? Because I do believe that this protocol will hold its peg over the next 80 days. And then I
Mm.
can unload a easy 20% profit if I wanted to. So um, this is an interesting part that gives someone an extra opportunity to actually earn for those who believe in the system. But it also gives for someone who is in a rush or someone who does not have that patience, they can still get out a liquid amount of capital, even though it's actually a locked coin, simply
Mm-hmm.
because you receive it liquid. It's a choice to start the unwrap process. It's not a requirement. You can easily go set up an LP on PulseX with VPUSD if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So basically, with this, just so people follow it, you can take your algo, you can get PUSD stablecoin, you can
Yep.
then how do you wrap that? You go to the unwrap page, and then this is because an unwrap, but how do you get the
Well,
WPUSD?
you generally don't want to wrap it because
No.
only the protocol can wrap it. Because the best way to put it is, imagine that the protocol earns 1 PUSD as a fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
The protocol now burns this 1 PUSD and then it mints a time locked one. So now it
Which is
burned one liquid.
WPUSD. So the
Exactly.
time lock one is W. That's where I was trying to get to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then the protocol rewards the user with the time locked one instead of the liquid one,
Mm-hmm.
which then spreads out the sell pressure of the stable asset in a much better way than if we had a scenario where it was liquid immediately every time.
Yeah.
Not
So the
only does
rewards are paid out over time. Okay.
Yeah, and also in a variance of up to some percentage, right? Because of the 80,
Yeah.
120. Yeah.
Yeah. So very clever sort of an emission type of profile with the 80 to 120 days for the WPUSD reward that you get from, if I remember writing, from the miner bots. Is that correct? Or
Yes,
from the
that is correct.
yeah.
It's only stability miners that will
Mm-hmm.
earn wrapped PUSD.
Yeah, cool. All right, I think we've sort of got over that issue. That's very cool. Now, with this here, will you be having with the PUSD? Obviously, anything that makes something successful is having adoption. So, in terms of, there's a couple of ways of talking about that. We're going to talk about potential, like we talked about earlier, about DEX aggregators and other mechanisms like that to get traffic through. Have you got any updates on that?
I would say we haven't really focused on reaching out for partnerships yet,
Mm-hmm.
but DEX aggregators, their entire product lives off having volume and places to pull liquidity from. So if we set up a $1 million deep liquidity pool, you can be very sure that they are there immediately. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, well, I understand that you've actually had teams, some of the top utility teams with DEX aggregators actually contact you, like PX and Batias.
Yes,
I
of
know
course, of course.
InvestX.io and a few others have contacted you.
All of them.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is really exciting. I think that's a really positive thing. That's a big amount of confidence in you and your team and the product that you're launching.
Yep.
So yeah, I was just trying to see where that, because that's actually a substantiator for potential success. So that's kind of good. The other thing is, of course, is promotion and marketing. I guess once it does launch, you're going to do much around that.
We always want to spread the word the most we can, but I think that the best scenario really happens when the community understands that they are the real power in the scenario.
100%.
Because we would much rather being focused on maintaining or further developing or actually making this stuff work. And all of this protocol, if successful, will pay out a lot of rewards simply because there's so much activity around it. So I personally believe that there would be sentiment for the users to assume something, a task like that, because as you and I both know that a very engaged community, they really can go a long way on the marketing side, and without any doubt, right? And if we can get some sort of almost like a meme culture around protecting the peg, like hold the door from Game of Thrones almost, right? If we as a community can come together and hold this peg, well, the big boys that's not on Pulse Chain, they might start to notice, so.
Yeah. Okay, that leads us, I guess, into one of the questions here. I was going to hold off to a lot of the questions that are in the chat, but Hexforce1 asks, is this launching on, not just on Pulse Chain, but on Ethereum as well? Where you do other chains like BM, because you already got two protocols. You got BNB POTS, you've got TYZZ going to be BNB. So have you got some sort of maybe cross chain, maybe a trifecta between those three chains or anything like that in your vision? Or just
honestly, I haven't really thought about that so far out, simply because just making it work on one chain is like a tremendous task in itself. So thinking that far ahead for me would be losing focus. Yeah. But with that said, if this works on Pulse Chain, I can tell you there will be 10 of these on Ethereum.
Yeah,
so,
right. That's true. And the other thing is anything around bridges, on ramps, obviously cross-chain bridges. They might be quite interested in another stablecoin in addition to the other three that we talked about.
Again, I think that is something that is slightly too far ahead to where I want to be right now. So I haven't really put any thought into something like that.
Okay, very cool. Now, this is a prototype that we're looking at the moment. So you're going to have a refreshed update version of this prototype with the UI, UX coming up.
Yeah, we are constantly refining the UI and making it, basically accustomed to the changes that we are also making during this process, because we know that we have a lot of activity coming onto the site, and these users are trying to understand what is it that we want to achieve here. So we do feel some sort of responsibility to actually have a prototype that is as accurate as possible, because that does help with understanding something that is already quite technical, right?
Okay. Well, just a bit of feedback from me, which is something I like to see in protocols, is how you got the I button. I think plenty of I buttons are really good, like information about that particular section of the dashboard. So that's just
when you're sharing your screen every day, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. You know my views on the UIs. You hear me talk about them a lot. But yeah, all right. So that is that's the protocol, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll get to some Q&A, and then we're going to talk about the sacrifice. So we've only got a couple of questions there in the chat. So we'll get to those, and let's see who else is. Let's go change our format here, and let's have a look at some of these questions. So if you've got some questions, put them in the chat now. We've got about almost 80 people watching at the moment, so welcome to everybody. Let's see here. Jump through those. I think we're up to here. DHexagon says closed loop ecosystems are going to be an amazing addition to Pulse Chain. Really keen to see how it plays out. Love it. Nice feedback there. Jonah says, when will the rest of the front end be hooked up? I guess after a time there, Jonah X. All I can do is sacrifice at the moment, he says. So some keen interest there. So
yeah,
we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, it will be ready when it's ready, right? This is just, you should assume this as a coming soon page. It's basically just a very advanced coming soon page.
Jonah also asks, will I really be able to LP with any tokens?
That is a very good question, and today I will not have an answer for you.
Okay. Stay tuned. D Hexagon says, so Jacob, will there be options to add new stables into that stability pool? Just a suggestion, leave some room.
You can use any capital to provide to lend us, basically. As long as there's an LP, we will take in the capital.
Also, when you have a Uniswap V4 LP hooks, then it is a game over.
That's very interesting, yes.
You won't be able to fork that, though, will you?
No.
No, not for a year, or was it 2 years? It was quite a long time. I can't remember how long, but it's quite long.
I think it's 2.
2 years, yeah. Is this launching? No, we answered that one. Yeah. Where else there? Hexforce 1 says, we can sacrifice on Ethereum but receive on Pulse Chain.
Yes, absolutely. The sacrifice phase, you can send capital on both Ethereum and Pulse Chain. You can click on the accepted tokens button just to make sure you're sending the right tokens. But when this goes live, everything will be on Pulse Chain.
Okay, so I think this protocol is pretty exciting. I like this ecosystem, and I think it looks pretty amazing. It's certainly speculative, remember that, but I think that it's got a very good chance with some of the brightest people developing it, like Jacob. It's going to be fun to be a part of. So let's check out the sacrifice and go to that and see how that's getting on. Let me just refresh this page, make sure I've got the latest and greatest. So anything you want to talk about this with the way the sacrifice is structured?
Yeah, so basically we have a quite classic sacrifice situation where there is a maximum multiplier of 2 for the first third part of the phase, and then it goes down to 1.75 and ends at 1.5. During these different time durations, when you sacrifice more than $1,000, you will get an automatic multiplier attributed to that wallet. And the longer you wait, you are getting your chance of getting the higher one is just diminishing, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way we are trying to kind of make some sort of incentive to sacrifice early rather than later. So you get rewarded by discovering it early. Also,
we'll just pause there for a second, Jacob. Just so the first 14 days, if you're watching, you're going to get up to 2x RNG. So the RNG is random number generator. And so basically you're going to get somewhere between 1.01 and 2. Is that the number?
Yeah.
If you do over $1,000. If you
try click on the bonus X down in the header of the list. There's like in the list, the leaderboard
list. The list here.
Yeah, you can click on the header that says bonus X. Yeah, try click that one. Yeah, here. So here you can actually see what wallet was the most lucky when they sacrificed more than $1,000. The top one was so lucky that he got a 1.96 multiplier.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can actually, if you're very lucky, you can find a referral link that will give you a 20% bonus, and you can actually combine those to then generate your total value in this phase.
Yeah.
And the thing is that when you have generated this multiplier, it will stay with you for the duration of the entire 45 days. So if you manage just to get a good multiplier locked in, you can still send capital to that from that wallet, at the last day, but you will still get the very good multiplier that you locked in earlier, right?
Yeah. So in this example, this person used a referral code with a 7% on it, but they managed to get once they hit $1,000, which includes the referral bonus, right? They managed to get a 1.96x RNG multiplier, which is randomly generated once you hit $1,000, right? So just it gives it to you. So you don't know what it's going to be. And they therefore had a total sacrifice of 2,048. So that includes the bonus X bonus and the referral X bonus. And then they get allocated all these tokens for every dollar. They get allocated 20 algo, 200 flex, and 0.01 wrapped PUSD, which is that internally generated fee one. Yeah.
And Jonah has a good question. He says that is it the same chance of getting a good multiplier? And yes, it is. As long as you send within that duration, it will be the exact same. So there is no fall off curve or anything. It's the exact same for the first 15 days.
Yes. So if you sacrifice in this period, you're going to get whatever RNG multiplier you got. So if you got 1.69, you're going to have that for the whole period of this first 14 days here.
Yes. Yeah, you're going to have that for the rest of the phase, even if you send capital on the last day. So
even at the end of the sacrifice, so it doesn't matter as long as you got in early, you're going to keep that RNG multiplier. Okay, so that lasts the whole period. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
All right.
And then we have the referral options, right? Where if you can generate a random referral percentage from 5 to 20%. So the lucky ones, they get a 20% one, and they can share that with their friends, and they will get a 20% bonus, and so would you. And we actually have some ecosystem users here who have already earned thousands of dollars without even sacrificing themselves, just by actually sharing this link, right? Because then they use that.
Got them in there.
Yeah, exactly. You're sorting there. So you can see that there's definitely some good links running around, since we have one entire page with 20s and 19s.
Yeah. So if you want to participate in the sacrifice, I have got my link up on the top of the chat. So hit that. That is 19%, which is pretty much near the top. So you can start winning straight away with using that one if you want to sacrifice for this amazing project, really. I see the total at the moment is up to 155,000 so far, and we're in today, just started day 5. Yep. So it's started off pretty well. And what else are we going to say about this?
You can follow the supply, the live supply in the bottom right. You can follow what the current total supply will be. Yeah.
That's the total supply there. So Algo 4.4 million. Wrap PUSD is 2,220, and Flex is 44 million so far in the total supply, based on people that have sacrificed. So pretty cool. So the first thing you can do if you want to get a lot of the Algo, Flex, and PUSD, Wrap PUSD, is that you need to get a good referral link. Obviously, my one's 119, so that's pretty much near the top. So you can use that, and that's going to start you winning straight away. And if you hit $1,000 in total, you're going to also get a random bonus X, which is between 1.01 and 2, which will get automatically generated. And so you'll get that, the higher the better, right? So just remember that. So the top one's here, 1.96. You can see some other numbers down further there. So that will give you a total over here for the total amount of dollars sacrificed. And if you divide that by the $1 ratio here, you're going to get this amount of tokens added up. So you can sort of see this person did $2,000 and they ended up getting these amount of tokens, which is pretty good.
Yep.
I think that's it on there, is it? Yeah. We're going to talk about where you sacrifice to. So there are some terms you need to read and accept around the sacrifice. Blockchains of speech, and speech is protected human rights. So just remember to read that. And the other side of it is, if you're wanting to sacrifice, you need to sacrifice to this address here, which starts in 0x96, ends in E223. So you just copy that to your wallet address, and that's where you're going to send it to. And what do you send, or what can you send? Well, you can send tokens on Pulse Chain and Ethereum, and it can be any of these tokens are acceptable. So eDai, EUSDC, EUSD Tether, Pulse, PulseX, and Hex on the Pulse Chain side. On the Ethereum, you got DAI, USDC, USD Tether, ETH, Wrap Bitcoin, and Hex. I think that's it.
Yep, I think that's it. This is just simple and neat, and I hope that people will find this protocol interesting, and I really hope that someone would find it interesting enough to support and participate. I do really believe that it is highly speculative, but I also know that if it works, it is definitely something that wouldn't be a bad investment. I'm quite sure. Sorry, not financial advice. I'm not used to doing this stream.
Yeah, once again, that's you got to do your own research. It's not financial advice, but this potentially could be a really, really great DeFi opportunity. And of course, the fourth stablecoin on Pulse Chain could be really, really neat with a lot of earning potentials on it. But once again, still speculative, and we've gone through a lot of the mechanisms, how this is different from Terra Luna, how this might work on Pulse Chain, and all the different features inside of it. So I think we've done a pretty good coverage of it.
Yeah, and I also want to say that we have a quite good docs area as well, where you can go in and learn a lot about the protocol. We have tried to outline all of the specifics in the tokens and in the different contracts and all stuff, so that you can dive into the nitty-gritty details. And we will be constantly updating this documentation, because
so
we
that's
know
down the
that,
bottom here. You click down the
exactly.
bottom, you will bring up the documents here, and that will give you all the extra details. So just click on that and read through it, do your due diligence. There's also a really, really great chart that you can see the whole ecosystem mapped out. Well worth a read. I'd definitely read that before that as well. Obviously, watching this video, have a read of this. It's pretty cool with all the different flows of tokens and with different features and functions on the PUSD Algo stability miner. So definitely check that out. That is on the docs, which is pretty cool. We've got a couple of other questions to wrap up the live stream. So let's just quickly get into these. Let me have a look here. HexForce link, use your link. That's the one. Fantastic HexForce one. Yeah, 90% bonus is pretty much almost as high as you can get. Pro Hexer says a combination of referral link and multiplier. The total is important, not only the referral. That's correct, Pro Hexer. But you don't have any control over the X1. It's just going to be randomly generated. But getting in early is key. Getting in earlier, those first 14 days is very important. For example, 1.07, so 7% times plus is less than. Yeah, okay. What else we got there? I think that's it. We've got Archie, who knows this ecosystem pretty well. Really appreciate the deep dive, gentlemen. You're welcome, Archie, and thanks so much for your support around this.
Yeah, good question. I would like to address that, because if I added TYRH to the sacrifice coins, that means that I would have to sell them, and I don't want to sell that. I have a strict policy of not selling my own coins. I actually don't think I've ever sold a single coin of my own. So basically, if I added that, the protocol couldn't use it to its advantage. I couldn't use it for LPing. I couldn't use it for pre-filled stability miners for the initial peg maintenance. I couldn't really use it for anything. So unless I sell it, obviously, and I really don't want to do that. So that's the reason why TYRH or any of my other coins are not available to sacrifice, simply because I can't use it.
Now, we've got a couple of other things I didn't talk about. Obviously, the sacrifice is open for all of you to participate in now after you've done your due diligence. If you've got any questions, get into our Discord, of course. The link's in the video description. We will be able to help you in there as well. Archie's in there, and he's the man on Jacob's stuff. The other thing is that you guys had a Telegram little whitelist, is that right, for airdrops? You add also the mystery box NFT from TRH, also got a bit of an airdrop for this protocol, and also pulse pot sacrifices. I got a little airdrop. Is that correct?
Yes, that is very correct. We decided to implement the initial post-ball sacrifice, and we also decided to implement the free airdrop from the Telegram. That was some very early initial to get some activity going in the group, and they got a very small portion. So 99% of the coins will be given to sacrifices.
Right,
I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
There's a very small amount given as kind of
a nice little gift to those things. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Now Robert says, "Does Jacob sleep?" That's probably the.
Well, my wife thinks I sleep too much. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Now, Banana Junkies talking about TYRH. Now, we're going to have a separate live stream, aren't we, Jacob, on all the other protocols that
yes,
Jacob's
we are.
on.
I will have a good live stream with Superman here, and we will talk TRH, we will talk TYCC, and we will talk V4 and all of the good stuff. I have some nice upcoming news for you guys, and the teams, they really do a nice progress on this area right now. I really like what I'm seeing.
Awesome. I think we'll finish with this last comment here. Red Bull, airdrop for OG NFT users. Obviously, the OG NFT, people have been talking about that.
I have 45 days to consider that. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for that one. Banana Junk says, okay, cool, TRH stream. Yeah. There'll be multiple protocols that we haven't talked about here, and so I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, we've been an hour and 20 minutes, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Jacob, for taking your time out to do this live
Of
stream.
course, of course.
The next one.
You, Superman, you have been an absolute amazing community member, and Pulse Chain and Hex really owes a big, uh, appreciation towards you, because truth is that we need people like you to spread the word. We don't only need developers, but we don't also only need promoters. It needs to be something in between where you can reach the people I cannot, and I think everyone in this ecosystem is really appreciated, and we builders really appreciate you guys who are showing what we are building, right? Because without that, it would be pretty hard to find out what we're actually running around doing, right? So you have been doing this at an incredible pace for a multiple year streak, and I actually know very few others who would have been able to keep that kind of passion and stability, and for that I think you have done an incredible job, sir.
I really appreciate that, Jacob. Thanks so much. And without further ado, hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Thank you so much for Jacob. We'll see Jacob again for the rest of the protocols on another live stream. If you want any questions, get into our Discord. It is a great place to talk about all those projects. And we have Archie, who's amazing in the space. So get in there for the edge. All right. Take care, everybody. And thank you, Jacob. I will see you again in about 4 hours' time. I'm doing a second live stream to celebrate the Hex, the highest of stakes on all the streamings around the world. Potentially up to 250 million could end up watching the highest of stakes. So stay up a bit later for about 3 or 4 hours' time. We're going to be partying on this channel about that and going through all the social media and all the good stuff on that. So stay tuned. That's another cool thing for Pulse Chain. All right. Bye for now. Take care.
Thank you.
Like, yeah, hit the bell. Your last word, Jacob. Go.
Subscribe to Hex Token.
All right. Take care. See you guys.